Hello Libra friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my April 2020 horoscope report for you. It is my mission this month, as always, to give you the information that I think will help you to have the best month possible. I'm an optimist and I look at the lens of the stars through seeing what is the best thing about what's going on that we can take from it. In the places where there's some diciness or some things that will come up, I'm not going to sugarcoat them for you, but I will try to reframe them to look at the essence as to why they're happening. And I believe in a benevolent universe as we live in, that the reason why things happen that are challenging is to help us to actually have a better life. And that symptoms like pain or challenges or things that come up in our lives are symptoms of dis-ease, something that's awry within us. The planets are they're psychological factors, they're unconscious factors that are affecting our lives, and they bring consciousness. So they're working with all of these movements in their orbits and connecting in with our inner zone to create experiences. And they're showing us the places that need attention in order to fine-tune our lives. So we can use astrology for this, and that's my mission. That's what my intention is, okay? So April is a pretty cool month. I'm calling it this like weightless, suspended bubble of a month because we're dancing delicately midway between the eclipses. We had some pretty fierce eclipses in December of 2019 and January of 2020. I know myself, I'm still trying to recover from them. Pretty big deal. Now we're sitting in April, right in between these midpoints of the eclipses that happened, hopefully catching our breath and recovering from what happened if there were challenges, and getting used to the new way of life, because eclipses can bring amazing changes, but sometimes they require adjustments to the new ways of things. Okay, so in April, we're kind of getting our footing from the eclipses that happened already. And we don't have the major brewing of the eclipses in June and July. There are 3 eclipses through June and July, and they're going to be very powerful. We're going to have this major conclusion of the Cancer-Capricorn eclipse cycle. And the reason I'm mentioning this now is, first of all, to let you know we're kind of in this weightless bubble in the midpoint, but also because 6 to 8 weeks before an eclipse occurs, we can often see news, storylines, themes start to bubble up from the unconscious space into the conscious space, or from the backdrop into the forefront. So starting towards the end of April, you might start to see these eclipse storylines actually coming back. And then May through August is going to be hot eclipse season, and also Venus retrograde. Venus retrograde is a huge transit. Venus rules love, beauty, money, aesthetics, and design, self-esteem. It covers a massive amount of our lives. And so the dominion of, areas of life that will be affected are huge. There's a retrograde transit that's from May 13th through June 25th. But there's also a stretch of many weeks before and many weeks afterwards when there's the energies that are acting as if the retrograde is happening already, okay, as it's preparing for this movement into retrograde. The retrograde thing starts to come up. April 10th is when that shadow period for Venus retrograde starts. So the deeper we get into April, the more Venus retrograde things are going to come into the forefront. March 30th through April 9th are some of the most important dates of this whole year, because that is the last period of time that we won't have any personal planet retrograde influence, either through shadow period or actual retrograde. Because we also will have Mars retrograde this year. That's another long one. These retrogrades don't have to be bad. They're just not as great for certain specific things. Those certain specific things are the kinds of things you want to push into the March 30th, April 9th, so you can align your efforts. Big launches, things that are super high stakes, things that are super long-term in nature, major contracts, major agreements, moves, decisions, all carry better energy and more momentum away from the retrogrades. So March 30th through April 9th, your big launches, your big reveals, and you'll see that I'm planning a very big reveal for that period of time, taking my own good advice as usual, and something that wants to be birthed that needs momentum. If it's something that doesn't need momentum, if it's something that's low stakes, if you're experimenting, if it's a short-term related thing. You know, you want to take a course for 6 months. You want to go on move into a place for 3 months. These short-term things and lower stakes things are fine through the retrogrades. And the retrogrades actually indicate these just highly changeable, short-term, variable, trying things on things. They're amazing for that. But if you got to do the big ones, you want to sandwich those in the beginning of the month. The deeper we get into Venus retrograde energy, the more money, self-esteem, love, and design projects are going to come back from the past for better and worse. Okay, so you're more likely to see your exes in Venus retrograde or have them contact you. If there's something unresolved with you and your current partner, it's more likely to come up. But it's not just bad stuff that comes up, although things that are unresolved definitely tend to come up in this time, but it gives you a good gauge of what you've healed and what you haven't healed. See, that's the optimist in me. It's like, okay, retrograde, goody. Now I can see what I've healed and what is sealed and what is done and not a problem anymore, and what needs a stronger foundation. Venus retrograde is going to show you where in your money world needs a stronger foundation, where in your relationship world needs a stronger foundation, where in your self-esteem world needs a stronger foundation. And the design pieces are just kind of this thing that tends to come up. People tend to have this overwhelming desire to cut their hair off or do something drastic with their appearance, buy a whole new wardrobe, redesign their house when Venus is in retrograde. And that is not the best time to do it. So all of those things, those are the things we want to do more at the beginning of the month, because there's more clarity, there's more momentum, there's more oomph. Now, do know anything that you do at the beginning of the month, Venus retrograde will test and possibly question what you do. But the time for Venus retrograde is for little experiments, like a henna tattoo in a place with a design that you're considering a permanent one, but not doing the permanent tattoo. Body work and things like that are not great for Venus retrograde, because the question that people tend to ask after Venus retrograde is, what the heck was I thinking in the areas of love, money, self-esteem, and design? Okay, so that means you've got these fuzzy retrograde goggles on, and those goggles are going to get stronger and thicker every day at April 10th and on. So you need to know that this month, because you're not going to be seeing clearly, but you're going to want to do things. So if you want to, so for instance, let's say you want to redo the inside of your house. Picking paint, buying furniture, all up through April 9th has much more clear energy for that. But once you get into the retrograde, expensive things that are hard to fix or hard to change are not as well indicated, unless the money's disposable and you won't miss it, or unless you can just hire someone to fix it and it won't be a problem for you. I guess there are people in that situation, right, where they can redesign their whole house and spend $10,000, and that's not a high stakes situation for them. And if that's the case, then do whatever you want. But for everybody else, where spending $10,000 on a redesign project, if you decide you hate it afterwards, is a big deal, you want to try to cool it. Do some less expensive things during the retrogrades. Okay, so I hope you see where I'm going with this. And I do have a massive amount of Venus retrograde resources. This is one of my specialty areas. So if you search for Annie Botticelli Venus retrograde, you'll get my video. I have, it's on YouTube, you'll find it that way. At AnnieHelpsYou.com, I have a Venus retrograde in each sign and house blog series. So Venus is going to be retrograde in Gemini, and we'll talk about more about the houses next month, where it's going to be for you. But just to kind of get a leg up of understanding the kind of things that come up, start to research those things, because the more you know about what not to do during Venus retrograde, the more you'll know what to do during those first 9 days of April. So this will help you to align your efforts. The more we align our efforts with the planetary cycles, the easier our lives will be. I always liken it to setting your boat, like let's say you're on a deserted island and you're waiting to try to get off the island. You want to have as much momentum to get off as possible. Hopefully you're watching the tides and waiting until the tide's going out, and you push out when the tide's going out, and then the tide can help to push you out to sea. if you're paddling when the tide's coming in, you're going to get exhausted. If you get off the island, you're going to be really tired and you're not going to have the momentum of the tide having brought you out. That is why we want to align, understand what the best things are to do when, and to just naturally have that fall into sync. Okay, so for Libras, this is a very important month for your bucket list, okay? Whether you resonate with that term or not, it's basically the things that make life feel worth living to you. The things that whenever it's your time to transition into the next big adventure of death, that you look back on your life and say, yes, I nailed life. I really did it. I did the things I wanted to do. Those things are some of the things that really want your attention this month in April. Okay, so either taking a bucket list vacation. This is an amazing time for that. Have some extra care between April 24th and April 28th. There are some complications to travel. You just have to guard your physical body and your travel plans more during those times. Doesn't mean travel can't be amazing, just be more careful at that time. But in general, this month is made for Libras to decide what they want to do and to take some movement towards it. Maybe you've always wanted to take singing lessons and you could start to take those this month. The energy of adventure is another huge piece here, but I'm going to get back to that. So your homework, if you choose to accept it from me, is to write a list of things, big and small. You can have like the more manageable list and then like just the crazy outlandish list. Get this idea, like get your juices flowing around these things that make you feel really alive. And you can play this game I call I Wonder. Okay, I Wonder is an amazing vibrational shifting tool that also helps to align you with positive changes in your life. When we play I Wonder, it's simulating a situation like, I wonder what it would be like to take a trip to Egypt. Maybe that's on your bucket list. I wonder what it would be like to become a professional samba dancer or whatever it is that's on your list. When you wonder, this beautiful energy of wondering puts your body and your being in the vibration of what it would be like. And your subconscious mind is this faithful servant that just wants to serve you. And whatever you're thinking about and focusing on, it's saying, oh, you want more of that? Goody. Okay, let's make more of that. You want worry? You want to worry? Goody. I'm going to give you reasons to worry. Okay, good. What else do you want? Oh, you want to stress? Okay, good. I'm going to give you reasons to stress. Your mind will help you with creating whatever you focus on. So the more you think about with this like I wonder game, I wonder what it would be like to work less. I wonder what it would be like to love my job. I wonder what it would be like. It's activating the experience of you being in that situation. Your mind starts to latch onto it and say, oh, you want more of that. Okay. Then it starts to set into motion actions and opportunities that help you to align with this vibration. So there are so many things in your chart that are just calling out for exactly this month. And because it's a nice clear month for doing anything through the early part, and the rest of the month is still pretty clear, it's just a wonderful time for taking action. And by the way, even though we're moving into Venus retrograde doesn't rule plans like Mercury does. So it doesn't change the odds of changing plans or increase the odds of changing plans. It can affect finances and can, change situations in love, which could cause other changes. But for actual making of plans, April is a wonderful month for this. Okay, now back to the adventure. This is what I wanted to talk to you about. So to understand what I want to tell you now, we have to understand the North Node. Okay, the North Node in your chart, in my mind, is the most important placement in the whole chart. Everything that we can look at in your chart, to me, the North Node is the most important because it is showing your highest expression in this lifetime. It's your Dharma. It's the thing that when you do that, you feel like you're on track with your life. So your North Node placement in your chart rules that. When we look at the transiting North Node, it's like a beautiful clue on a map or something that says, your key to happiness, there's a piece of it right here. So go here and do this, and that's going to hold a key for your bigger picture of your highest expression. So for Libras, and it's all early, middle, and late degree placements, all Libras, have the transiting North Node moving through your 9th house. And your 9th house is the house of adventure. It's the house of international travel and of broadening your horizons. Anything that you can do to stretch out of your normal way of looking at things is really going to help you in your life, especially now. There's so much momentum with the planets moving through Aries, and this does flow well with Libra placements. Even though they're in opposition and can definitely cause overstimulation, the pure fire air manifestation is beautiful and harmonious. So Mercury's going to get there, so yes, like I said, expect overstimulation between me and we, you, other people. That's the story of the Libra's life anyway. And this time of year, it really kicks into overdrive. But this is, this fire really creates beautiful flow for you. And it's a time of taking action. It's a time of momentum. And it's a time of reaping rewards from past efforts. So let's say in life, in the past, whether it was in other Venus retrogrades or at any other time, you took some actions on healing something with your self-esteem, which helped you to have better experience in your relationship. Any work that you did, you can have blessings from with the Venus retrograde energies. Any work that still has to be done will be revealed to you. So that's what I mean about me being an optimist. Unfortunately, many people have come to look at life and astrology at what's going to happen to me now? That feeling of being disempowered, like something's happening to you. We want to just shake it up, rip it up, rewrite that whole perception that life is happening to you and help you own that you are a conscious co-creator in your experience. And the more that you really know that, you're creating from your inside, you're creating from your space, you're creating from everything that life is giving you, and you can change your life for the better. So the more that you know this, the more you can change your experience, and the more you can greet transits with a perception and a perspective of, wow, what is this going to reveal to me that's going to help make my life better? Okay, now, when Venus retrograde brings up money problems for some people or brings up relationship problems, they feel like a victim. They feel, oh no, Venus retrograde, this sucks, this is bad. But I invite you to tweak how you're looking at it and to welcome this, to show you where you're at. Venus will show you where you're at with your money consciousness. What about your money consciousness has to be tweaked in order for you to reach your financial goals, your security goals? What about your relationship to yourself has to be tweaked in order for you to have true happiness? What about your relationship with other people has to be tweaked? It will show you. Venus retrograde is going to show you this. Isn't that exciting? You don't even have to pay any money for it. You just have to watch, observe in your life the things that come up. I always call the active time of, not having a retrograde or shadow period like the web weaving time. So the time through April 9th is the time when you're stretching and reaching and striving and pushing and just trying to do things, right? And creating and building and making your web. Then as we get into the retrograde, it's the time to kick back, put your feet up, see what comes in the web. Whatever comes in the web, that's what you know you have to deal with. Okay, so it's an observer role versus a very active, forcing, reaching, stretching. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't be super productive and super inspired and super creative, and you can. And many old projects will have life breathed back into them in this transit. And relationships can have life breathed back into them, and your finances can have life breathed back into them. So, make a commitment now to take anything challenging that happens this month and beyond as we stretch through the end of July with this Venus retrograde energy as a beautiful indicator to you of where you need to do more work so that you are going to shore up and strengthen any weak areas of your life that need it, which is going to improve the rest of your life. Okay, so back to this thing with adventure. Broadening your horizons through travel, through learning languages, through immersing yourself in different cultures, through writing, speaking, teaching, courses, learning, voraciously learning or teaching things that you have been learning. Your North Node, the area of highest expression this lifetime, right, is coaxing you on this path that the more you do that, the more you're going to align with your personal highest expression. Okay, so let's see. The next thing, we talked about that. Okay, so the star goddess Estrella is moving through your 10th house, and the 10th house is your house of work and your relationships with fathers and father figures, whether they're around anymore or not, and your place out in the world. For those of you who don't need to make money or have a job, it's your place out in the world. It's what you're doing out in the world. The star goddess Estrella is all about accountability and justice. So the energy of accountability as far as your workspace and your place out in the world, she's whispering to you about that. She's saying, okay, what can you do personally? How are you accountable for your current work state? And what can you do to change that? It's like the opposite energy of victim. It's the energy of true ownership. And any place you apply this in your life will be amazing. But the star goddess Estrella is specifically speaking of your place out in the world, okay? So look for what you can do to take the bull by the horns to make that area of your life, either heal your relationships with your fathers, heal your relationship with male energies in your life, heal your work relationships, step into more of the recognition and the type of pay scale or whatever else that you're looking for. Look to see what you can do. And kind of think about this like when you're pointing a finger at somebody, you're pointing 3 fingers back at yourself. So really apply this honestly, not through blame of yourself, but just through accountability of where you can tweak and what you can do to help yourself step into your next level in your place out in the world. All right, so in general, this month is dancing in between the eclipses, or you might start to see the news surface back. It's dancing between the retrogrades. You'll see that energy strengthening as the month goes on. It's full of momentum and push and stepping forward and really getting things done. It's full with the questions and the topics of what makes your heart sing and how you can do more of that. It's suggesting that adventure is going to really help you get on track with your life, and also that broadening your horizons outside of your current belief system can help to give you solutions that were not as readily obvious. Einstein was quoted as saying, we can't solve problems with the same mentality that created them. So this is what I always think of when I see this 9th house lit up like this, where we've got to get into a different mind frame in order to solve a problem, because the line of thinking was what caused the problem. So if you try to solve it with that line of thinking, that's only perpetuating it. So just breaking out of your shell, doing something different, even if it's just walking a different way to work or driving a different way to work. Anything that you can do to stimulate new neural pathways in your brain is going to be part of breaking out of a matrix that you have been struggling to bust out of. So if you'd like to have more information, definitely search for Venus Retrograde, Annie Botticelli. Go to anniehelpsyou.com, see my extensive Venus Retrograde blog series. Remember, Venus is going to be retrograde in Gemini, so you can start to read up about that. Next month, we'll talk about the house that Venus is going to be retrograde in for you and what that means. If you'd like to learn astrology for your own purposes or to help other people to live their best life, then go to beastropro.com, beastropro.com, or LUMLife, L-U-M-E, life.com is my Luminous Life Multiversity School. You can see all my courses there. All the links that I give you are also in the notes underneath the video, so you just click on See More and the links are there. If you want written horoscopes by me, plus lifestyle blogs that are kissed by astrological pieces, you can go to cozybysweetstarlight.com. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.